Shri Sai Ram, offering my most loving pranams at Bhagavan's lotus feet. I take this opportunity in thanking Bhagavan to bringing me to you all to share the beautiful life messages I learned as a Sai student. Thank you, Bhagavan, for blessing me on this beautiful day. And I am very grateful to all the organizers to have brought me to this platform, whereby I'm going to be sharing few of the messages and teachings that I learned under the guidance and love of our most beloved Sai. To start with, may I request the screen sharing, slide 1, please. So, Sai Ram, all elders, Sai brothers and sisters, the topic for today, Sai Glory, My Story. To begin with, I'll share a small story, indeed, that it is the story of a small girl who joins a music class. It was during this music class that she chose to learn the keyboard. And as a young girl, she learned it for a couple of months. And very soon, it was the annual celebration at her music academy. And therefore, she reaches the venue on the day of the program. And she sees that the stage was all set for the program, but not yet occupied by the artisans. So in all ignorance and innocence, this little child climbs up the dais and takes her place on the keyboard because she thought that it was her instrument and so she should play on it. Unmindful of the fact that it was an annual program and there were musicians who were going to perform. When all the teachers, her teachers who were taught her, masters rather, the music teachers, when they heard that the music was being played, they just peep out on the stage to see that this young child is on the keyboard and trying to run her small little fingers. Then the master who taught her comes behind and unknowing to the girl, he holds the child's fingers rather, and he starts to play the music on the keyboard. And hearing which all other artisans come on stage, and therefore it continues to be a musical orchestra where the girl was guided by the master and the orchestra goes on uninterrupted for an hour or so. So today I come before you as this ignorant, innocent child who is here guided and guarded by my master, who is going to speak through me to share what Swami wants me to share with you all. With this little episode, I take this opportunity to share the message of Sai. Next slide, please. Next. The descent of God is for the ascent of man, is what we all have heard through the sacred teachings as given in the Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya bhlanir bhavati na bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya pavitranaya sadhunam dharma samsthapanaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there is a descent or decline of adharma, then Bhagavan Krishna himself has said that he will reincarnate himself again and again to establish dharma, to establish love and peace among the mankind. This we have heard in the Bhagavad Gita, which was given by Lord Krishna some thousands of years ago. But dear brothers and sisters, we are very fortunate to have been born in Kali Yuga when Kali Yuga avatar, Sri Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba himself took avatar on this sacred land Bharat. Therefore, it is said that Bhagavan came to lead us on the path of Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema and Ahimsa. And I am very fortunate that I was blessed to be his student, which I'll be sharing with you all in the due course of this satsang. Next slide, please. My Guru who led me Godward. Yes, all of us say and know that Guru takes that great position in one's life when he leads us Godward. We believe so and in most of our lives, it is true to word. I am also very fortunate that I was blessed by one such guru who was my Hindi master, who is no more now. But yes, it was he who showed me Bhagwan. What happened was when I was in, say, class 8, 9 or so, this Hindi sir, after the teaching is over, there used to be those 2-3 minutes extra time, before the lecture gets over. This teacher used to talk to us, few of us, in the front benches when he gives work to the other class children. Somehow, we really don't know. I really even now think why sir had spoken all this to us and how was that I was so fortunate to hear it from him. That is, this teacher, the Hindi teacher, used to share with us the miracles of Bhagwan, what used to happen in his house. As a very young girl of 12, 13, I and my friends, we never understood what miracles or what manifestations were. But however, sir didn't leave it. Whenever it used to happen, that is, miracles were happening in his home way back in early 80s, 1980s, 82, 85. That was the period. And sir used to come and say, "Aaj hamare ghar pe vibhuti ka manifestation hua, photos mein chandan aaya hua hai." And his daughter-in-law, it seems, when she used to cut vegetables, there used to be small idols which would have manifested. So he used to keep saying these things to us, and we kept hearing. But one day we took up the courage to ask, because sir, those days all of us know the relation between students and teachers. Yeah, we used to regard and respect them to the core. However, we gathered our courage to ask sir to asking permission to visit his house. He was very happy. He said, "Yes, please do come and take darshan." So few of us, the girls, went to sir's home, and yes, this is what we used to see. Next slide, please. The manifestations wherein Bhagwan's photos used to be blessed with vibhuti. There were idols which were filled with kumkum, chandan, honey. We all were very much new to Sai philosophy or Sai miracles in those days. And however, this was some beautiful way where something was being sown in me. And these small idols, which we can see in the next picture, these were the things which was the first blessing of Swami, what I got to see as a very young girl of 13, 14 years. Therefore, I think Swami just walked into our lives. Thereafter, I completed my class 10 and 12 in a place in Andhra Pradesh. And that was the time when I had to move to my undergraduate. And the place where we were living, my father was serving the railways. And that was a very small town where we didn't have further facilities for higher education. I had to either go to Tirupati, all of us know the famous temple town of Balaji, or to Hyderabad. But that was the time when we heard about Bhagwan's Institute, all women's college, which was run at Anantapur. Nothing beyond Swami's miracle through my sir I knew. I never knew about Sai organization or the Bal Vikas wing, which was run across the globe. We were unaware of it. But however, as I said, since Swami decided to take over our lives in his fold, we could procure an application from the university. And those days, all of us know somebody could buy the application for us. We had to fill in and send it across to Prashant Nilayam. And yes, within very few days, I got a letter stating that I need to appear for the entrance exam at Anantapur, at Prashant Nilayam. And Sai brothers and sisters, believe me, the time when I traveled to Parthi, and as most of us would have traveled to Parthi, we all know as we enter the Prashant Nilayam premises, it is just heaven on earth. That was the first feeling I had, the peace, the greenery, and the serene atmosphere. Till then, I hadn't seen Swami in his physical form. Yes, in the photos and as the pamphlets and the other things came to me in the form of pictures, of course, yes. But then my father took me there, and the next day, we were stay put in the ashram. Next day, went for writing the entrance exam. Belonging to a very small town and a school, I really consider to be very lucky that I could enter into this premises of Swami to even be able to write an entrance exam. And yes, as I said, Swami had already decided to bless us, and then the entrance exam went on well, and the result was put up. Those days, you all know, you all would have heard that there used to be the South Indian canteen, and in front of that, result would be declared in the evening. And then my name was there on this list. The following day, I also had to appear for the interview. And interacting with people from Satya Sai University itself is a beautiful and a big experience. And we were all then guided to go to the administrative building. And yes, it is again a palace kind of an atmosphere to walk into such huge hall and being guided to the place of interview where all the senior teachers and members of the of the institute were there to take my interview. Yes, somehow I managed. I could tell whatever was asked, and then I was blessed with a seat in my BSc degree. Then the journey starts there as a Sai student. Yes, God's own university. We all have heard about universities across the globe, but I am chosen, I am gifted, I am blessed that I belong to God's university. Swami says it just doesn't come to you as simple as that, what you think. It comes to you because of your last Janma Punya Karma or the penances you and your maybe your parents would have done. And yes, if you have been chosen to be a student, to be a Sai student, it also comes with a huge, big responsibility. Of course, didn't understand all this when I was still a student there. But yes, after I walked out of the institute and as I move on in life, every moment, every day, it is a learning process. And what is that responsibility? Swami has been unfolding it day in and day out, and also guiding how to take up that responsibility to be able to spread his message. So I consider this as the beautiful gift what I have been bestowed with. Yes, next slide, please. As a Sai student, what are the beautiful values which we learned, or what were those what were taught to us? Yes, the first picture, as you see, most of you would have members on your family who have been Sai students. Yes, the Anantapur hostel. All of us know Bhagavan decided to first start an institute for the girl students. Even before he started boys' college and hostels at at Prashant Nilayam in Brindavan, it was way back in 1968, Swami decided to start and educate the women because he believed women empowerment and education was the need of the hour. What we now read and see across various organizations where women education and empowerment is taken in full swing, our beloved Bhagwan had did this way back almost 52 years behind. Why? Because Swami believes that if women is educated and with the value system, she will be a beautiful asset to her family, to the society, and to the country at large. With this vision, Bhagavan had initiated this, and the hostel where we all were groomed, believe me, sisters and brothers, is the best place where hundreds and thousands of girls are being nurtured. The next picture, what you see is our warden, Mrs. Jayama ma'am. Yes, the value system and the love they have bestowed on us, we never felt we were away from home because our day used to start as early as 5 o'clock in the morning and goes on till 10:30 in the night. And believe me, the whole day we were back to back packed with activities which made us, which nurtured us, and which has been an asset even till today. Even when we try to swing, we try to move up and down in our lives, somewhere those values come back to us. They reinforce that positivity, the confidence, the belief, the faith. No, Sai is there with you. Your teachers, even though some of our teachers have left us from this physical world, but their teachings do stay with us. And that has been the greatest asset for me as a teacher. When Bhagavan himself blessed me, I will just share it with you. Yes, the third picture, of course, a little smaller one, the principal. My principal is there. She was Mrs. Hemalata. and yes, a strict disciplinarian. What is discipline? All colleges, all institutes, all educational programs do instill discipline in us. But yes, but Sai discipline is something very different. Yes, because we were taught why discipline is important and how we can tune it in our day-to-day life. And that has remained with us. All of us who have passed out, what is the biggest asset we carry with us is this discipline, what we were taught there. Be it right from the time we get up, the Suprabhatam, which we start with, followed by the sports activity, the yoga activity. And all of us know in the Sai organizations, I mean, the Sai institution, sari or half sari is compulsory. But only during our yoga sessions, we were allowed to wear the salwar, and that too with a proper upper, the dupatta, and no other women costume is allowed inside the hostel. Those days, we never understood why this strict discipline, right from the dress code, I mean to say. But now, as we move out, and now when we see the world at large, we really understand why Swami had initiated this program or this dress code as an important and compulsory integral part of our student life, and which till today, some of us, we are not even able to move away from this dress code. We can't just think of wearing any other clothes other than these two. But that simply, the simplest act of wearing clothes, from there, our life was programmed by Swami. Yes, next slide, please. So, after the, as I said, the Suprabhatam, the yoga and the sports, it used to be our breakfast time, and then followed by leaving to the college. From the hostel, it was just few meters ahead, used to be our college. There again, we just can't go as and how we want. A bell will be given wherein all of us have to come down and assemble and form lines. And then another bell will be given. So like everything was belled for us. Everything was timed for us. Yeah, and then we need to move in proper lines, get into the college. There will be a beautiful assembly hall. We have to assemble there, and all the chantings. Of course, those days, Rudram was not taught to us, but all the other chantings used to be played for 10-15 minutes before the assembly would start. And we were, though we didn't know it by heart, but yes, 3-4 years of stay, as we say, as we hear, it got memorized. And this is how most of us learned so many shlokas and chantings being Sai student. Then after the assembly, our college used to begin, and yes, it was spiritual and secular knowledge which was imparted to us. Secular knowledge is available across, but what we were taught was value-based education, what Swami calls in his philosophy as educare. So our teachers, because all of us from across the globe were centered in one place, all of us were taken and taught with so much of love and affection. Because we all come from, joined there from different educational backgrounds as well. Some of us were good in Hindi, some of us were not good in English. So we were a cosmopolitan combination of students. And each and every student's, need was taken care of. And teachers were very loving and affectionate. At the same time, strict disciplinarians. And thus we were groomed to be as good students firstly. And then during, we used to have 2 sessions. Then we come back to the hostel for the lunch break. And yes, the picture what you see next is the lunch break, where again a bell will be given. We need to move down to the hostel, have our food, take a short break. Again, a following bell will be given, for which we have to go back to our second session in the college. Thus, the day continues, and by 4 o'clock, our session at the college concludes. We come back to the hostel, and then we have a tea break, followed by which we have our evening sports programs. We all can choose. Lots of sporting items were available to us. Yes, because Swami says a fine body and a fine mind, both of them are necessary. A balance of fine body and fine mind is need of the hour. And therefore, we could choose various sporting events. And there used to be coaches who used to train us. Because at the end of, before the end of the year, the next picture, what you see is the most important life of a Sai student's life, that is the sports day, which happens every year on January 11th. all of you must have also seen the program happening, yes, on the March past. And believe me, marching in front of Bhagwan himself, yes, it used to give us that pride. I mean, if I can use the word pride, or maybe if I can use the word of thanking Swami, and Swami taking the God of honor. When even today, if it is a Republic Day or Independence Day, this is the picture which comes back to my mind. The sports day and the march past, which we all as Sai students used to participate at the Shanti Vedika Stadium. Then Swami, as I said, he just didn't want us to be very good students only or very good homemakers later on. He also wanted us to be master of all trades. So there used to be special coaches who used to be brought down, and they used to coach us in various sporting events. This I'm talking to you is way back in 1990. I was a student from 89 to 92, 93. So we used to be taught motorcycling, bicycling, and I mean, even the motorbikes, girls used to drive, and we used to do lots of other sporting events. And this way, Swami actually trained us. He wanted us to be healthy also, because after students' life, Swami knows, all of us know, we have to get back into our family life. Thereby, our bodies, I mean, our health has to be also taken care of. So the 4 years at Anantapur hostel, body, mind, and our spirits, which is the next part of the life, I mean, our soul, as we call it, I mean, the inner self was also fine-tuned. Yes, thus we all grew up as Sai students, from starting from the Suprabhatam till being a sporting person as well. After which, the next slide, please. Then next event, which is a very important event in a Sai student's life, is the Convocation Ceremony, which happens just one day before Swami's birthday, which is November 22nd. Yes, all of us are given. Nowadays, of course, these special gowns are given to all the participants. I mean, all the graduating students, but those days when I was a student there, we all used to be given a special sash for various streams which we belong to. And yes, Swami coming on the dais, as you can see, year of the Convocation Ceremony put up. And then that moment itself, feeling proud at on one side, and also sad that very soon we will be leaving the portals of this beautiful and the holy institute. Used to be a mixed feeling. And then Swami coming and declaring, now I declare the convocation open. When he says that word, my God, believe me, it used to be such a joyous moment when we were going to take the next thing. Our Vice Chancellor would lead us into the oath-taking ceremony, wherein we all had to take an oath. Yes, that oath is something which I think will stay with all of the Sai students as a very big shield, because it was written and given by Swami himself. So that is our protection, whatever and wherever we go, we be. That is the protective shield. Because for me, I was doubly blessed because I could be a participant in the convocation for 2 consecutive times. So being a Sai student and receiving convocation, yes, is itself a blessing. Yes, the top scorers and the top rankers were also used to be felicitated by Swami himself with the gold medal. Yes, seeing that itself was a honor, though I didn't receive one, but yes, being Swami student itself is a gold medal for all of us. Next slide, please. Yes, as I said, some of the beautiful blessings which I received. As we see here, one particular Janmashtami it was. All of us, Anantapur to Parthi, we used to be taken there for all major festivals. Ganesh Chaturthi, Guru Purnima, Ganesh Chaturthi, Krishna Janmashtami, Dashra. Sometimes we were also asked to stay back for Diwali, Christmas, then the sports day. So it was during one of the Janmashtami days when we had reached Parthi, and the following day was Janmashtami in fact. So the previous day we all were seated, and then the way Swami used to say, like how he used to communicate, he used to pass on one kind of language which our teachers could understand better. So then our teachers used to give us the message in the sense that we all used to be seated in particular back-to-back rows for darshan. But when Swami passed on the message means like we all were supposed to sit face to face. That means we were going to receive some blessings from Swami. It could be Pada Namaskar, or Swami used to come out to give vibhuti packets by himself. Or sometimes Swami used to come and give us small gifts. It could be pens, sometimes it could be watches, so on. But this particular time, so when message was passed, we all sat facing, in parallel lines, facing each other. And then Swami comes out, and behind him, set of boys used to come and keep heaps, piles of Swami's robes. We were all so surprised, thinking, my God, are we going to receive it? We didn't know what was Swami's plan or what was going to happen in the next few moments. But yes, as we all sat, Swami walked in and we were all gifted Swami's robes. That was the beautiful, and still all of us have it in our homes. Later on, after Swami took Mahasamadhi, later on, these robes were all given to all Sai organizations at the Sai centers. It is still kept as a blessing. But this we received long way back, and it's there in our home. This was the message which was given to us, that since it is given by Swami himself, to have it with us, and in case somebody is sick, unwell at home, to just take it on their body and pray to Swami, pray to Bhagwan, and therefore the person would feel comfortable, maybe relieved of the sickness. Of course, Swami's grace is always there, but this was something like we all say, no, we connect to certain things which are more, which we could feel, which we could see. Swami's blessings, his invisible blessings is always there, but having something on hand to feel about his presence, this was one of the beautiful blessings which we received, and it is still there at my parents' house in Chennai. Next slide, please. Now I'll take you from Prashant Nilayam to Brindavan. Yes, Brindavan Showers. We call it Brindavan Showers, where every summer, all of us in Satya Sai College, the system used to be, come what may, March 31st, the academic year closes. April 31st. The whole of May used to be a break, and June 1st, again, we have to go back to our next academic year. But however, the May month used to be summer course. Yeah. So again, all the 4 consecutive years, we were a part of this program, and it happens generally and mostly it was happening at Brindavan. The first summer course which happened at Brindavan is still very fresh in my mind, because that was where actually I could relate to certain of Swami's messages. We all used to hear Swami's discourses on every occasion. Yeah, but as I said, young minds, young girls, 19, 20 years, couldn't understand the high philosophy what Swami was talking. Yes, but yes, seeds were sown in all our hearts at that very young age. But Brindavan Showers, the summer course, why we could relate it a bit better was because they were speakers from across the globe from various fields. Though it was titled Science and Spirituality, but yes, there used to be talks on Mahabharata. There used to be talks also on something related with science, on Ramayana and something with science. So that way, that mix and match, somewhere we could relate, and we used to enjoy that couple of days where we had to spend at Brindavan. And after the Brindavan Shower summer course, we used to go back to Anantapur directly. So it was here certain beautiful miracles what I saw. Yes. And then the first beautiful love and life of message which got imprinted in my mind and which stays with me now and hereafter for the years to come. So the first picture what we see is when during one evening when Swami was giving the discourse, he was talking to us or narrating the story of Nala Damayanti. I hope all of us are a bit aware of this. This was that ancient, the epic couple who used to like each other, and then as a mark of love, this Nala had sent a golden swan as a gift to Damayanti. Swami was narrating this. And then in the course of his narration, or most of us have seen, during Swami's physical sojourn, he used to materialize objects. So with the wave of his hand, he materialized that golden diamond studded swan on the dais. And that still, so very beautifully etched in my mind. Then Swami, believe me, he just walked down the dais, and it's an auditorium. How we all have the cinema hall, etc. It's an auditorium. So Swami walked past each row of the boys' side and the girls' side, and then he showed us that small distance, and we all could see the three-dimensional diamond-studded swan, white, glittering, beautiful, of course. And then as he walked across the whole auditorium, Swami goes back onto the dais again, and there he again he had the swan in his hand, he closed his fist like this, and when he opened, the swan was no more there. And Swami said, it came from Sais stores, and it has gone back to the Sais stores. This was what he said. And of course, it was followed by a big round of applause. And that is the first. Lot of miracles happen, but again, as we say, certain things get imprinted. So this is one such imprinted miracle which I could share with you. And the next, maybe the following year, another beautiful message which Swami said that was the year, it was 92, 93, I suppose, the year when our then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. During that evening, what was the message Swami gave? So again, the discourse was on. All of us were seated. Some philosophical discourse Swami was giving in that high-pitched tone. Suddenly, Swami stopped, and he signaled that the mics were put off, and everything came into silence. As such, in Swami's presence, the whole of Sai atmosphere, we know, it is into all of us are in silence almost all the time. But then everything was switched off, and message was passed, and all of us were asked to leave the audit, to get up and go back silently to our hostels, the girls into the girls' hostel, boys into the boys'. Nothing more than that was even told to us, because those days all of us we were not in having TV or the cell phone, etc., etc. But a message was conveyed by Swami, and then all of us dispersed, and we all were back into our rooms. By then, later on, we got to know that this particular incident had happened at Chennai, and therefore no public meeting should be held, and therefore the Swami's discourse, the satsang had to be cut short, and we were all back into our rooms. And next day, what happens? We all assembled in the breakfast canteen, the breakfast hall. As we girls were there, Swami walked into the hall, dining hall rather. And yes, when Swami comes, then we all would be signaled that we all come and gather together, because Swami would surely pass on some message. And as we all gathered around Swami, this was the message he gave. He said in Telugu, of course, so I'll just put it across. He said, yesterday evening, you all must be surprised why Swami stopped the discourse halfway. You all know what happened? Our minister, Rajiv Gandhi, who was our Prime Minister, is today late Prime Minister. And when such a thing happens, as a mark of respect, no public meetings should be held. And therefore, the meeting was called off. Yes. So what was he? He was the Prime Minister, but today he is no more. So we call him late Prime Minister. And then after Swami said this, and of course he gave some other instructions to our principal and head, the warden, etc. Swami left, and then our teachers gave this beautiful message to us. So girls, what do you understand? What do you learn from this small episode of what Swami showed or told you all? Swami is the ultimate. We all know God, incarnation, avatar. He could have just continued with the discourse, continued with the meeting. We all could have just, because we were under Sai's fold, everything could have still continued. But no, as students, we were taught how to respect the laws of the nation, the rules of the land. And who better than Swami himself putting this value system in us? So our teacher said, see, what has Swami taught you? Swami has taught you how to be a good citizen of the country. That is how, even to the smallest detail of paying respect to our leader, this was how we were again, taught, nurtured, we can say, or we were being groomed as Sai students. Next slide, please. So very soon, days passed, and it was time for me to complete my BSc degree. As we all know, the outgoing batch of students were given this opportunity that we used to go back to Parthi for that one-day visit, when we used to receive Swami's blessings in the form of Swami used to give us Pad Namaskar and give us pens. Swami used to give us pens and say, this is your examination pen, and give us Vibhuti packets, etc. So during this time of the last outgoing batch of students, most of us used to ask Swami what to do. For some of our friends, Swami himself said, pelli chesko, okay, now it's time for you to get married. You will be getting married and you will study. That was the period when our super specialty hospital was being made. And some of my friends, Swami himself chose and said that all of you will go to Delhi, AIIMS, for your nurse training program. So this way, each of us were blessed in whatever Swami felt is good for us. And then when my chance came, when Swami was moving across, and as I took Pad Namaskar, I asked Swami, what should I do? Because I had a choice of either doing an MSc, because we also had the MSc program then, or the B.Ed program. I just asked Swami, finishing BSc, Swami, what should I do? Swami looked into my eyes and said, do B.Ed, that is pursue B.Ed. And yes, then I knew that I am getting one more bonus year to be and continue as a Sai student. And there's one more year of stay at Anandpur campus and trained as a Sai teacher, I could call it. And then 93 April, I had to leave and go back home with all the value system ingrained in my mind and heart. Yes, and back into the wild world, not knowing what is in store of me. Yes, after my return back home, my father retired from services and I had to go to another unknown place, that was Chennai. Though we belong to Chennai, but since my father's work was at Andhra, we were there and we had to go back. Again, going back to Chennai and to be able to work in a city like that was a big challenge. But yes, as we know, when Swami has taken charge of our lives, he also will bless us. There's this conviction, when I go back to Chennai, believe me, Sai sisters and brothers, Swami blessed me with the first teaching job at Chennai in a school, again named as Sai Matriculation. So when I saw the name and when I knew that I'm going to be here, that was the first chance I could take it up. And first job which I took at that city, and with the first salary which I bought, as my token of love and gratitude to Bhagwan, I had bought this photo, which you can see that Abhayas always there, blessing each and every member of our family in whatever troubled times we have gone through, whatever challenges we have met with. Yes, that Swami's Abhayasta is taking care of all of us till day, and my strong belief for years to come as well. Next slide, please. Having started my teaching career there, then as days passed by, all of us know, as girls and ladies, yes, we get into wedding. I got married, yes, into again a blessed family, whereby my in-laws were, though none of them were as Sai students, etc., but what welcomed me in my in-laws' house was a beautiful Sai picture, Sai photo. So when I first entered their house after wedding, and when I see my Sai there in their altar, then you all can believe and understand what my joy would be. Yes, so that was how Swami blessed me with a beautiful married life, where a Sai family was waiting for me to receive there. And yes, blessed with a son later on. And the journey as a Sai student continues. Thereby, I am happy to say that even today, his blessings is there in our home in the form of the Sai Padukas. all of us have must heard about what is the Sai Paduka story. If you all know it, or maybe I'll just share it with you. It was maybe in the year, I could say 2008-9 or 10. I mean, during that period, there was one particular Srinivas Chettiar from Madurai, way back in another temple town, all of us know, at Tamil Nadu. He's a goldsmith by profession, and he was given this beautiful task of making Swami's Padukas. And this I didn't know, because after I came off the Anantapur campus, though we were connected with the organization, I didn't know about this particular episode of the Paduka, I mean, blessing, what this Srinivasan sir was blessed with. But yes, he was given this task to make Swami's Padukas, and he took them all to Prashant Nilayam. During that period, the Kulwant Hall was made and all that. And then it seems Swami had blessed each and every Paduka pair by Swami himself stepping on it. So there were around, I mean, I was said some hundreds of pairs were made like that. And then through Swami's, I mean, directions, these Padukas were gifted to various families across India and maybe other parts of the world as well, which I was actually not aware. But yes, as I said in the beginning, Swami chose that we will always be under his protection and under his care. So Swami chose that his blessings also come to us, because during that period of, say, 2010, we had to go through a very big, tragic situation in our family. But Swami said, whatever you have gone through is one aspect of life, but I am there with you to take care. And at that episode, Swami comes to our home in the form of these Padukas. And yes, he is there still. I mean, in the form, like we all have heard the Ramayana, when Bharata had worshipped the Padukas when Rama was in the forest. So this is how, though Swami has come to us in various forms, coming to us again in the form of Padukas during the tragic times is considered again a blessing, where we said, okay, Swami, you know what is happening to us, and we also know that you are taking care of us. And therefore, we believe in his presence with us even till date. And these Padukas are there in our homes. Sairam. Next slide, please. So as I said, the journey continues and the story continues, whereby after marriage, I'm blessed with a son. And as a mother, all of us parents, what is that one thing which we all want for our child is his or her best future and best life. So as a young mother, those days, I used to always pray to Swami, Swami, you gave me a chance to be your student. Please bless my son also to be your student. This was one prayer which used to always be there. Even if I go to a temple, whatever prayer I used to make, but one prayer to Swami also, Swami, please make my son also your student. This was my constant prayer. Yes, but then as days passed out, as I said, I entered Swami's college without being a Bal Vikas student or any such background. But as time passed by, we all knew the Sai organization grew wide and large, and all the other activities organization grew in its manifold ways. And Bal Vikas, a wing started, wherein small boys and girls were also trained and nurtured to be good boys, firstly, to be good boys and girls. And yes, with Swami's blessing, these children also could get into the Sai institution. Yes, however, we also could find one Bal Vikas center in our, node here. And I enrolled my son into that, into the Bal Vikas stream. He was getting trained. And yes, silently, my prayer used to still continue to Bhagwan. And it was my son's 10th standard. This was again a very beautiful blessing I would like to share. By then we had procured the application from Parthi, and my son, he had to fill up the details and we had to resend it back to Parthi, duly filled in. But yes, Swami always has his ways and means of testing us, I would call it, and rather blessing us later. So what had happened was the due date was fast approaching, but however, my son was not able to procure the needed signature from his school authority. Days passed on, And you could understand my anxiety was increasing, but because I thought we shouldn't miss it out, because this was a very good opportunity for him to get into this school. As I just mentioned, we had just then gone through a very tragic event in our family. So one fine day, Friday, I could say, it was a Friday. The son leaves to school, and I am just saying, Deepu, his name is Vishwanath, but we call him Deepu. I just said, Deepu, just see that if you will get the signature. If not, just go and request somebody who is there in the office to get it attested, because that was the day for us to post it, and it had to reach the following week. So I just sent this message, and he also, a young boy, he just took it in his port and he went. Then I was anxiously waiting for his return. And as he returned, as the bell rang, I opened, I said, Papu, what happened? Ma, he got it duly signed. I said, wow, this is a great blessing. So we just took the form and left it at Swami's Paduka. And then what happened? I go to make his lunch. As I was preparing roti, the normal chapati roti, what we call, can you all believe what happened on that day? As I make the fulka, make it on the tawa and then do it a bit of a toasting on the flame. Sisters, I could see a beautiful Om being formed on the roti. It's a miracle by itself and unheard of any time, at least in my life. But for me, that was a blessing which I considered. I could feel some prompting. Be careful. Watch. I said, oh, every day I make this roti. What is something new going to happen? That mind, no, the dual mind working there. But yes, I was observing, and an invisible hand as though holding a pencil and writing a Om on a roti, which is on the flame. And then with that akaram and the Chandra Bindu, everything formed, and it stops. Immediately I put off the flame and then called my son. I said, just come over, see what miracle is here. When he too saw, he was, a young boy of 12, 13, 14, 15 years. Yes, just took it as his blessings. And then he applies, gets admit card, goes, writes the entrance exam, clears the entrance exam, and then he's blessed to be a Sai student who could do class 11 and 12. Swami didn't just stop it there. His son went on to be taking part in all the co-curricular activities, leading the march past, what I just explained some time back. And he was the leading commander in the march past squad. And then during the second, that is 12th standard, he also was blessed to receive a co-curricular activity has just been flow to us through maybe generations. So it started with my parents, then to me, and to my son as well. The journey still continues. I have two brothers, the elder brother blessed with two sons, and both my nephews are currently Sai students, one pursuing MSc and the second son pursuing the BSc degree. So what is that beautiful blessing? Swami is just blessing us over and above to take all four of us into Sai's fold. And even my uncle's two grandsons were his students. So a big family, ourselves taken care of by Sai. I think we could ask nothing less than this. He's just taken charge of our lives because he knows better what is good for us. And this is our firm faith and belief, and that he is there with us every day and every night, every moment. Both the pal mein he is there. So every second he is there with us. What more benefit? What more experience we should feel to experience his divinity when he can take care of the mother, the grandparents, the parents, the children, generation, 3 generations he has already taken care. Now we know very well, and at least I am confident that future generations also, Swami is going to be there with us, guide us, and take care of us. Yes, Sairam, next slide. as after being a Sai student, then role play changes, becoming a member of the SSSO, Sri Satya Sai Seva organizations. Again, a very big responsibility. As I said, this is something which is very, very pertinent at this juncture that I should share. When one of the outgoing batches, when we had the interview and when we asked Swami, what is the best seva which we should take up once we leave the portals of this institute? So many of us, we asked questions and some of our girls started prompting, Swami will do Narayan Seva, Swami will do medical seva, Swami will do Gram Seva, etc. But yes, Swami kept on nodding his head, no. But then we were also surprised, like, what is that Swami is expecting from us? But then Swami said, Kadu, Ledu, means no, not this, not this. However, all of them are a part of the organizational activities. But yes, what was the best seva Swami expected from us is that when Swami himself said, you being Sai students, once you leave the portals of the institute, wherever you get a chance, whenever you get a chance, however you get a chance, talk about Swami. Talk about the value system, what is given to you. Talk about how you were trained and groomed by your teachers. Of course, when our teachers have groomed us, the teachers were, in fact, no doubt groomed by Swami himself, Bhagwan himself. Because all of us know, all the faculty members who are serving the institute are directly picked, chosen, and trained by Bhagwan. And we now are trained and nurtured by these instruments who have actually, we all know, we all call our teachers, our HODs there as maybe rishis. They were sannyasins, whatever we call, because they have actually dedicated their lives for the mission of Sai. So having been trained like that, what Sai means to me as a member of SSSO, Sai means, when I was a student, Swami said, Sai means Swami first, all others next, I last. That is, Swami said, always focus and keep the Swami's teachings as your priority. Then do and be helpful to others in your family, in the society, to whomever you are associated, and keep I, that is your individual self, as the last priority. Yes, the journey began thus as a Sai student. Now, as I walk the path of this beautiful journey, now the life means to me where I stand today is, it is a journey from I, from my individual, to we, that is to the community, ultimately merging in he. Thus, Sai means service, which is the Seva wing, full of action. All the activities, what we take, Swami says, do it selflessly. Because Swami says, once you live life selflessly, then Swami is there to guide and lead us. Then A, adoration, the Bhakti Marg, the spiritual wing, where we have the bhajans, the Nagar Sankirtan, the Rudram, which later on started, as I say. And now, being a member of SSSO, it is compulsory for all of us to learn few of these chantings. And yes, this is another beautiful way where we all can connect to Swami in the way of devotion. And lastly, I, illumination, which comes to us through knowledge, maybe a higher version of it, what we call wisdom, wherein we understand the philosophy and the teachings of Bhagwan, which is Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, and Ahimsa, whereby following, Swami says, these are like your 5 fingers. Yeah, and all of us know either of absence of one finger, the hand itself is going to be, functionless. Similarly, either one of these is not there with you, being righteous, being loving, being peaceful. Yeah, either one of them will be missing in your life. You will not be a complete integrated person. So praying to Bhagwan that he blesses each one of us with these beautiful values of Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, and Ahimsa. We have been leading as a member of the Sai organization, with members here associated in the organization, to spread Swami's message of love and seva. All of us know Swami has these 2 maxims: love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. So, sisters, this is the only message, as it is said, the whole of Upanishads you read, the whole of Mahabharata, the whole of Bhagavad Gita, all of them boils down to this beautiful message of help ever, hurt never, or maybe if you are able to love all and serve all. So with this teaching, which is become maybe my lifeline, I would call it. So if I'm able to even follow this in thought, word, and deed to the best of my capacity, I think that is the best gift I would be giving my Lord back. Because it is again said, what I am is God's gift to me. What I become is my gift to God. So I pray to Bhagavan that he blesses me to be his instrument in spreading his message of help ever, hurt never, love all and serve all. So before I conclude, I would just again conclude with a small story again, because I started my talk saying, Sai glory is my story. So next slide, please. Yes. This is a small picture. All of us are familiar with, maybe, that there is a person, an individual, maybe the individual self, maybe here it could be myself. So one day I am so blessed that I am having a chance to walk on a beach with Lord by my side. And yes, I'm very happy to walk with Lord on the sands of his beach. Yes, after some time, I suddenly find and feel that Lord God is not by my side. Then I am in all panic. I am all shocked. I'm in all anxiety, shouting and screaming, oh Lord God, you said you will always be there with me. But now today, at this moment, I am just not able to see you or find you. Where have you gone? Where have you missed? Or where have you missed me, left me? Then his voice comes back, an assurance. And all of us, I'm sure, we are hearing this assurance in our own beautiful, loving way when the Lord God says, my dear child, don't panic, don't get scared. You are not walking alone. It is I who am carrying you. So with this beautiful assurance from Bhagavan that he is carrying us, I conclude this offering, whereby I consider it to be a blessing that I am here sharing with you this beautiful journey, what I call Sais glory as my story. Jai Sai Ram.